11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live at 7 p.m. Eastern, that's 4 Pacific, for about an hour and 90 minutes each day. We do 3 different gun-related topics, different topics throughout the week. We run it live on YouTube, and we simulcast it over at gunchannels.com. We're watching the live chat with people that watch us live over on gunchannels.com. Do the same thing over at YouTube. So you can join us live and listen to the show and participate in the back and forth discussion. When it's all over, though, we'll take it, the video that's rendered out of that, and we'll take the audio from that and post it on iTunes as a podcast. And we encourage anybody that might be listening to the show in the future, or either on YouTube or iTunes, to give us some feedback on whatever platform you're on. It lets us know where you are, and it helps get the show recommended to more listeners, and that's our goal. So we do appreciate that favor. Let's see. So where am I at now? We have hosts, and 4 of us are here today. Got
yes. So we do indeed have hosts.
Not sure who's further north. I'm gonna go with Smeggy. It's in Michigan. Thanks for jumping in.
Yep. Thanks for having me. How's it going, everybody out there?
Good. Then we got Dano jumping in from Illinois,
AKA Smeggy's older brother.
Uh-oh. We got a new thing going here. And then we got me jumping in from Arizona, and then it takes us to the furthest south of our hosts, we think, Z, on the island of Maui.
Aloha, everybody, and GMOs won't kill you.
We are now 100% Canadian free. At least
really? Is it temporarily?
We can finally say that we still have no idea where Bob is, and he's not here for the show again. So we'll keep going. Somehow we'll manage to get through without him.
I think we'll make it.
All right, so we're getting into the beginning of a week, so that means we'll be digging into the schedule for the week before we jump into all of that stuff, though. We usually take a break at the beginning to see if anything happened overnight, or in this case, over the weekend.
I got a couple things. I think it was actually last Friday, coming out of California. There were 3 different bills introduced. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. So Senate Bill 497, current law limits handgun purchases to 1 every 30 days. The bill would expand this to all firearms. So if you buy a rifle, you got to wait 30 days before you can buy a shotgun. Then you got to wait another 30 days before you can buy a handgun. That's just stupid. Then there's Assembly Bill 1525. Currently, a passing score for the firearm safety certificate is 75%. This bill will increase the minimum to 85%. I believe you have to take a test before you're allowed to buy a gun there. I don't know if that's like a purchase license or something. I don't know exactly how that works. But they're just making it harder. And then Senate Bill 464. Existing law requires gun shops to lock firearms when business is closed. This bill will require FFLs that use rods and cables for locking firearms to install pillars outside of buildings to prevent vehicles from passing through. Since many leases do not allow for this, some gun shops may have to close down.
Ridiculous.
So there you go. 3 more bills just chipping away out in California there over some perceived problem or perceived danger or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure they're calling it for safety, but just more stuff to be aware of.
Well, bombs can bring down whole buildings, and poisons can poison like whole populations of people. So I think there should be those things in front of every place with dangerous materials inside.
Or
just
the
logical
of the leader of North Korea.
It looked like there was a bag of dicks out there that were trying to defund the 4-H shooting program. I lost the link, so I don't know where it is. I heard about it over the weekend on a post on Facebook. Somebody's trying to defund the rifle program for 4-H, and I think that sucks.
I wasn't aware that 4-H received funds from the government.
I don't know that it was from the funds. I think it might have been something to do with the university where it was at or something like that.
Oh.
They were like trying to close the program down, basically. Which is a bunch of baloney.
Yeah, do you think that because I'm not familiar with that exactly either, but was that like just a local chapter, or they're trying to shut down like the whole nationwide 4-H thing?
I don't think they're trying to shut down 4-H as a whole, but I definitely, it was probably in one of those states. I mean, I hate to say if it was like Maryland or Virginia or something like that, because if it was in Virginia, it wouldn't really make that much sense. If it was in Maryland, they're going that way a little bit. But yeah, it was something that I had seen, and I'll try and find it during the course of the show. But basically, it's like the university where they go shoot or something like that. It's somebody's trying to close the program down. They're through complaining and whatnot.
Right, but it's just that particular chapter of
I believe so. Yes, I don't believe that it's the whole like 4-H as a whole.
So they're asking on the YouTube side, what is 4-H?
Man, I can't even tell you what the 4-H's are anymore. I mean, I know what it is, but I can't. It's like Future Farmers of America, but only
one of them's husbandry, right?
Husbandry is one of them. That's the one everybody remembers.
Health is one of them.
Is it?
I'm gonna have to look it up right now.
I don't. Husbandry, health,
humanity. It's a youth organization like Scouts or like Awanas or like it's a civic group, not a church group.
Yes.
And it's a bunch of kids and then a leadership of adults, I guess, and some kind of a national structure. And it's a thing for skill building and exploring avenues of what you might want to do with your life and to get some companionship and networking as kids.
And I know it seems to be more prevalent in rural areas than necessarily like a city.
Yes.
Because I know of it from, like you had mentioned, farmer thing. Like I know my cousins who live on a farm were part of it, and they would, raise a cow and then sell it at.
Yeah, and that's like
something.
Yep, and that goes to, supporting their whole program for like the year, basically. Man, and of course, come on.
I was thinking about doing that for gun channels. We could all
What's
grow
that?
cows, and then at the end of the season, sell our cows.
Well, it's
Cow
not the
chats.
end of the world. The motto is to make the best better. How's that? And yes, it's a 4-leaf clover with the H's on it. Was formed in anybody? This
You
is for
got
fun. 1902.
37.
1902.
I wonder
Let's
if it
see.
started off that and Future Farmers of America, whether they were just, because now they're pretty much nationwide, but if they just started regionally.
Oh, Danny, and you were asking about whether they were contributed to by the federal government or whatever. Guess what their parent organization is? It's going to make total sense.
Department of Agriculture?
Yep, pretty much. USDA.
Okay.
The mission is engaging youth to reach their fullest potential while advancing the field of youth development. Its name is a reference to the occurrence of the initial letter H 4 times in the organization's original motto, which is head, heart, hands, and health, which is what the original was.
Oh, well, I was off, except I got health right.
Well, but
So
to be
the one I
honest,
was
though,
sure of was wrong, and the one I was kind of guessing at was correct.
yeah, but that is part of it, though. Husbandry is definitely part of the actual program. It has more. Do you know that the 4-H has more members than the NRA? They have 6.5 million members in the United States.
Cool.
But they do range from ages 5 to 21. All right, enough about the 4-H. I'll try and find that article. There was something else. One of the days was Iwo Jima, but I think today is. Are you going to talk about SVD guy, G, at some point today, or
Jump ahead, dude.
is it on there?
Nothing anymore. Let's just go into the healthy tip. Why not?
Well, before we start
Okay.
the show, just quick and
Well, if you
passing.
need,
I'm going to go ahead and give you a quote.
if you got a rash because you're so irritated, I'm sure I could send you a tube of cream for that, gentleman.
It's all good.
Would like to mention the NFA is currently sitting at 254,000 signatures, so that's where we're at on that.
I thought it ended yesterday.
Well, today was the last. I mean, today was the end of everything for both.
Did we not reach it with the Hughes? I heard that the
Hughes was at
like
80-something thousand. I don't know if we made it or not. It was at 80-something last I saw.
I heard that we missed it by 2. I guess we could go look.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, I was under the impression it failed by 2,000.
98,000.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious. We missed it by 2,000 signatures.
That happens. It happens. Nobody cares about fully automatic weapons these days anyway, you know. They just don't care. I blame big machine gun on that. I'm sure they were trying to keep prices up and keep the market low. I'm sure that's what it was. It had to be big machine gun.
I don't think they have that much of an influence. I've heard that before, and there could be
I'm
some
totally
collectors.
joking. I wish you could see my face.
I think it's a valid point because I have heard that before. So I'm going to pretend like you're not joking and speak to the people out there who do think that's a thing. It is possible. However, I think, I don't know if the majority is the right word. I don't know the percentage, but I do know of from friends of a friend type of thing that own full auto, and they're all on board of getting rid of the Hughes.
Good.
Because realistically, like a World War II specimen, like something cool, is still going to be a World War II collectible thing. It's still going to be cool.
It's still going to be.
The only difference is there'll be a heck of a lot more people that own them and know that they can possess them that'll now long for them. So if anything, the value will go up.
I also wonder
more people want them.
If it was named something other than the Hughes Amendment, like the anti-machine gun bill, people would instantly recognize what it was versus, the NFA, National Firearms Act, even though they may not know what it all means behind it, at least they kind of know generally what it's about.
Well, let's focus on that one. So we had 250,000 signatures on that one. So that definitely the mobilization worked. And now, has anybody ever paid attention to one of these things when they actually, has one of these gone through that we cared about? Maybe the ban on 8555 or 855?
Well, before we panic on missing it by 2,000, we should also notice that Matt out in the chat is saying that someone started a new one for the Hughes as well, and he just posted it. So
the ban on the M855, that was a comments that were being accepted by the NFA, or excuse me, by the ATF. There was a comment period. And I don't remember the numbers, nor am I sure if they even released the numbers of the people that actually did respond in comment to the ATF directly via email.
Again, I reiterate that Matt just posted, they redid the petition for the Hughes. So it's got a new time cycle. And he posted it on gun channels. So don't panic. We can sign it one more time, and hopefully we'll get 2,000 more people to sign it this time.
Oh, so the one that failed, there's a new one to do that?
Yes. Again, it is. Matt just posted the link on the gun channel side. Other than that, nothing happened this weekend. That's not true. A bunch of stuff happened.
I crossed over into the dark side of reloading this weekend.
I heard some of that, bro. I heard. Did you push the button on that Lee turret?
Yes, I pushed the button. One part of my order arrives Tuesday. Part of my order arrives Wednesday.
Excellent.
Now I'm really kicking myself that the gun show just happened, because that's a good place to get bullets and powder to avoid shipping.
Truly.
So Now I got to go find component, but I should have all the mechanical pieces of the machinery in order to start reloading.
Yeah. Now Moon mentions that a libertarian troll made the new one. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Moon, you need to explain yourself for a moment, if you would. But
over the weekend, though, since we're talking before we even get into the show here, we're running a little late, I guess. But we had another epic AR build on Friday night with Dead Horse. So if you're interested in watching a rifle be put together, he started this one like from scratch. So every single pin, every single accessory was posted on there, or done live, and then of course lots of interactivity with the people watching live. So that's over on the Gun Website's YouTube channel. I thought we did something else over the weekend as well. I guess not. All right, so
I'm sure everybody was doing something.
No, I thought we had something happening over at Gun Channels, but I might forget something. All right, so then we'll dig into the show. On Mondays, we usually start talking about what we're going to be doing this week. So the rest of the show today, we'll talk about branding your gun channel in our Gun Channels University segment of the show when we talk about behind the scenes kind of things. We'll be talking about gun tech, buying used guns online, revolvers specifically, and off of online auction sites specifically. We have our gun shop of the day. We do our gun of the day every single day. There's a potential for a gun technical pop quiz. It could happen at any time during any the shows every day. Let's see, then Tuesday we'll do our Second Amendment topic. We'll be talking about if there's any way to ensure that the Second Amendment remains unfettered. We're also going to try to focus on a state each week. This week it'll be New Jersey. Our good idea, bad idea segment of the show is footwear for a training class. So I'm not sure how that'll work. And then we have that Q&A segment of the show that we're swapping out to something else, and I didn't type it into here. So we do something. There's a surprise mystery bonus topic on Tuesday that I didn't write in our notes here. Then we got CCW on Wednesday, hybrid holsters. Looks like Smeggy has some holster news out there on the YouTube side if he's paying attention. We'll be talking about gun movies of the 1970s. I'm really looking forward to that one in our entertainment segment of the show. Then on Wednesdays, the thing that everybody looks forward to, that you practice every day with the tactical pop quiz for, the actual tactical quiz. And that'll be coming up on Wednesday. Then we've got the Thursday lineup with our gun stuff. We'll be talking about Sergeant Specials, the Ring of Fire guns. I always talk about those. But if you got something else to talk about, we did kind of talk about those last week a bit. So if somebody wants to change out that subject, feel free to throw some ideas out there. Let's see, we're going to be talking about finding a good instructor for our training segment of the show this week. And then every Thursday we talk about the shooting events that are coming up. Can almost do that one live on location at a shooting event. And then we got Friday, alternative gun topics. Will be traveling with firearms. I know we talked about that one a lot, but this time we're going to be talking about specifically that asshole from Alaska and the stuff that happened in Florida. And we wanted to talk about that after the event, after some amount of time had taken place. And we're going to see if anything happened with that, if there was any repercussions from that in the long term. So then we'll be talking about the gun business on Friday, and what the worst things you can do in a gun store. So that should be fun. And then we do sort of the opposite of what we're doing right now on the end of Friday, where we talk about what we talked about during the week. We have a no theme to the gun shops this week. We do have a theme to the some of the other things going on, and I guess we'll address those as they come along. So anything anybody's got about what we're doing this week? Anything to add? Anything that we need to get rid of?
What I do want just mentioned, we did get an email from Hori, so thank you out there. Suggestion on quote of the day, as well as a question for the pop quiz. So thank you, Hori. We'll be checking those out and probably fitting them in. So thanks.
You know what else that reminds me? Thanks for mentioning the email. We don't talk enough about the emails when they come in, and also the iTunes comments. So we're going to start making it a point to check out those iTunes comments on a more regular basis. We do appreciate the people that take the time to leave us some feedback on those platforms. like I said, it helps us recommend, it gets our shows recommended to more listeners. And that's really our goal. We actually lost some listeners coming to this new time slot. So while it's the only time slot that really works for us as hosts, it might not be the best way to go for the show. So we could definitely use some help. If you are listening to the show and you know somebody who might enjoy it, recommend it. Send them a link. Let them know that we're on. And if they can't listen to it live, send them a link to the video once it's posted. And it's got its own channel over on YouTube, so it should be pretty easy to follow for somebody who's not, necessarily into these things. But anyway, we would appreciate that effort. It's one of the ways that we can see how well we're doing. Thanks for doing that. So with that said, I think we'll dig into the next segment of the show. I sent the link out to Tech Daddy. I don't know if you got it in the email there or not, but we're going to be talking about branding your YouTube channel, or not your YouTube channel, but your online presence, your brand, I guess, or what do you call it? Your channel. Well, we're calling them channels, I guess.
Your social media identity.
Identity. There you go. So before we do that, though, we like to take a break between the first and second segment of the show each day and mention one of the members, feature one of the members over at Gun Channels.
Did we even get to the first topic, though?
The first topic is talking about the week. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That was.
I'm new to this.
Sorry. That's what a Canadian would have done. So you're basically, although you're not playing the role of a Canadian, you're basically filling in with it.
Kids these days, I tell you.
So, like I say, we do like to feature one of the members over at Gun Channels. Gun Channels is a place we built a while back. It's a community focused on firearms. It's completely run by its members. Right, got all kinds of feedback. So you guys would be great. And then we like to feature one of the members each day. So we've got today, it's We Like Shooting, which is actually a group of people who have been doing a podcast now for a while. And they've been hosting it on Gun Channels as well as other platforms pretty much the whole time they've been doing their show. I think they're really doing a good job. And we always appreciate their support of Gun Channels. We've had a chance to meet them a few times now at SHOT Show and at other events. And yeah, they're just as fun and personable in real life as they are on the show. And like I say, it's fun to see them succeed and to watch as they explore different things to do out there. I mean, I am a big fan of new media, and I think they're doing it well. Definitely exploring all kinds of things. So anyway, we like to feature somebody over at Gun Channels every day, and that's the one today. All right, so now it's weird because everybody's muted, so we'll dig into the branding section of the show. So again, we like to feature on Mondays a little behind the scenes, how to keep or how to create gun-related content. The idea is that new media literally is not just the old stuff on the computers, but the idea that everyone can be part of the process. So with that in mind, we do want to encourage and inspire people to get out there and create their own content. And it doesn't have to just be gun-related, but include gun-related content in there. And we got Tack joining us, who's Tack Daddy on YouTube and internets and basically all the platforms. And you're definitely Brandon, or you know how to brand, and you've done it for yourself and others. So thanks for joining us for this topic. And where do we want to take branding? Where do we start?
I don't even know what's going on. How are you tonight?
Pretty good. What does this work for you guys? This is like 7:30 Florida time?
Yeah, we're good to go. In the working on a couple gun related things, so I figured I'd jump in. Yeah, I'm by no means the expert, but I did have, again, a communications degree and a background in this and that and the other that kind of adds up to what I think is the most important thing before anyone decides to do anything. And first and foremost, I two things. One is that just because there's big channels out there and just because there's guys with huge audiences, the next big thing is still out there. That guy that's going to come on the scene out of nowhere he's still unknown to all of us, which means that anybody can do it. But the biggest thing I would do or consider is a real written plan, a real sit down, think about it, form a plan, massage the plan, figure out what the steps are to get the plan done, and then just execute. one of the reasons that my name is even in the mix is because of consistency, and that was a part of the plan. And that's kind of accumulation and being omnipresent in the market was one of the big things on the plan. You know, make sure that there's enough content out there over however long we're going to do this, that it adds up to something bigger. There's no way to eat an elephant in one bite, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's you just celebrated 4 years of doing your show consistently. I mean, like every week you had a show. I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks. That's the Thursday Night Gun News Weekly show. You know, the other content and the other stuff, the day-to-day videos, the product review and product showcase videos, all that other stuff. You know, some of that stuff started a little sooner than the live show, but the live show is kind of the one that's been consistent, you could say, for sure.
Right. Well, I think that makes a good backbone, and then you can add your other stuff to that. You know, like you said, your little videos. I know you have that Inspire series where you kind of interview people and whatnot, and like all your other little projects that went off. To me, the live show, that's where I found you, and then I started digging into all the other stuff. I don't really have a Facebook presence, but I know you post all your stuff up there too, and have different articles and different things or whatever. So I would say, just going back, like, generally, as far as branding your online presence, is, I would say, do what you like to do. And I'm stealing that from G-Webs because he said it before.
Coca-Cola don't do what they want to do, though. Burger King didn't do what they want to do to compete with McDonald's. So you can do it that way, but we're also trying to talk specifically about how to do it with some intent here, or to deliberately, right?
Well, and it all comes back to, what are your goals? You know, are you doing it for jollies? Are you doing it to turn it into a career? Are you trying to make money? Are you just doing it to pass time? Or
sure, but I mean, even if you're just doing it for your own personal interest or to share, if that's your goal, that doesn't mean you can't, like you're saying, do some planning and some prep and have some goals, or some steps to get to your goals, right? So when you brought that up, it made me think. I wanted to ask, how often do you go back and look at, like, so let's say you want to start a new project and you figure out, okay, this is what I'd like to accomplish, and this is a reasonable time frame, and here's some steps to get to it. I've noticed over the years, you've experienced over the years, you get halfway through, things change, new things come along, and priorities shift, and maybe you learn something that you didn't know before, so now it's easier to do something, or more difficult, or more elaborate, or then more simple, or whatever. So at what point do you like to go in and kind of recalibrate and monitor and check progress and stuff like that? That's one of the questions I've had recently, so I was wondering how you look at that one.
I look at it as like if you were looking at it on a whiteboard, there'd be 4 things, and they would all have circles going in clockwise direction that kind of focus back to each other, which would start with the plan, the steps, the execution, and then the revision step, which is the one you're talking about, and then back to the plan, and then back to the steps. It's constant is the answer to your question. I have a couple character flaws and a couple business character flaws, and one of them is like that whole, how do you get everything either on a piece of paper or on a document or on a whiteboard to make it all make sense? And it's just, I keep going back to this big, huge whiteboard I've had, and constantly there's those types of circles that are on there. And so to answer your question, it's like all the time, because part of my plan,
I guess when I look at it, I think of a bigger circle, and at the end you look back. But I like how you're saying that, like, part of it is to evaluate and
I don't have an end.
Regularly.
I don't have an end game for this thing. This one is do it and enjoy it and keep going until it's no longer fun. And there's a lot of fun still to be had, and a lot of fun stuff to build. It's just everything started revolving around just getting out content that pushed to TacDaddy.com so I can make a buck selling nylon and plastic and holsters. And that goal's been achieved. That there's enough audience that goes there as a result of search engine stuff that pops up old videos that it works. So what next? Then, Inspire, he mentioned, I wanted to get deeper into doing something other than just standard product videos, which to me a year and a half ago, that's all you saw. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. I still do them. I was editing a couple today. They need to be done. People need to know. Part of what we do is deliver information. And so back to what you were saying just a minute ago, the reflection and looking back step that you were talking about, you have to be willing to adapt and change and all those things. He mentioned Facebook. If you had talked to me 2 years ago, I didn't do anything business related on Facebook. Facebook was a way I kept track of my college and high school friends. And people in the world of different industries convinced me. They're like, dude, you're missing out. And all of a sudden I started posting stuff there. All of a sudden I started posting the live shows there. And sometimes the live shows on Facebook are bigger than the live shows. So who knew? I didn't know until I just tried it. Same thing with rebranding the Tac Daddy show. I mean, the Gun News Weekly show probably should have had its name changed and got rebranded 6 months earlier. I just didn't do it.
So that's what we're talking about is branding, though. So you started out with, like most people, I think, with YouTube, with just a name, maybe something used on a forum or on your video game thing or some other kind of place, and that was your name. Or maybe you couldn't get that one, so you get one similar. Or you just come up with something, whatever day is that you're setting up the account, because you're in there to leave a comment on a video or something. You're just doing this as a necessary step, and then 6 months later, it turns out you want to use this thing as your place, and you've already got 6 months worth of content on there. So I guess now it's not such a big deal because you can change your name on YouTube a little bit. But as far as like you're getting a logo or something, and either, there's obviously lots of ways you can do that. Be creative and do it yourself. Describe it to somebody who's capable, pay somebody who's capable, whatever. Put the plea out there to ask somebody who knows what they're doing to do something for you. But let's say you get a logo and you want to do what you did there, which was, well, you're saying rebrand the podcast. So you were doing the podcast as the Tac Daddy, and then rebranded it to Gun News Weekly. What, besides obviously getting a new logo, what all is entailed to that? Was that something that, I mean, I've done it before. I think I do it possibly more casually than others. So I'm wondering, was that something, again, deliberate and planned and then executed on a schedule, or?
It's something that's I'm still dealing with some difficulties with, to be honest with you, because, okay, so the thought was kind of outgrew the Tac Daddy thing in terms of what we were doing on Thursday nights. It was gun news. And Tac Daddy Live, seen in a Facebook feed by someone that is just an average person that's not in the gun world, what the fuck is that? I'm sorry, I didn't know if we were allowed to cuss on this one. I apologize.
No, I hear you. So in other words, to make it more literally the name, to describe what it is, make it more useful for the potential viewer.
Right. So the thought was, okay, Gun News Weekly. You keep seeing that on Thursday night in a feed. You're like, finally, let me, maybe they'll check it out, or at least, once again, like you just said, they'll know what it is. Start a new YouTube channel. Start posting the videos there. That's where, again, it's still tricky because we experimented with it, and if I push it out on the Gun News Weekly channel, the audience is about a quarter, because obviously the subscription number there is under 500.
It splits from whatever your established channel is. You're splitting a segment of it off. We did the same thing. We experienced the same thing when we did it like this to the Daily Gun Show channel.
So I've been trying to do the show on Thursday nights, download it either that night or the next thing in the morning, and then repost it on the Gun News Weekly channel. I've also tried to make the Gun News Weekly channel more prominent on the Kevin the Tac Daddy YouTube channel. And that's just, again, and then within the Gun News Weekly brand, we have the Inspire brand, which if you go to gunnewsweekly.com, you can see how we try to push that. And so There you go on branding. I mean, I think the biggest thing is pick something, stick with it. You know?
Now, how much do you think applies to, like, if you just typed in branding into YouTube or into Google or something, and like you're going to get people that are real estate agents and I don't know, like, you know, just selling their
The
stuff.
Double R Ranch brand, like out of the fire, that's what you're going to get for starters.
Oh, you mean like an actual cow branding? I'm
Right.
saying if you searched for like how to brand your small business or how to brand your hobby business or how to brand your book or your creative efforts, how much of that do you think applies to gun stuff? Do you think that we have does our niche, like, is there anything that doesn't apply or applies differently to us in your experience? I'm thinking that if people are listening to this, they're probably trying to figure this out, and obviously we're not going to solve everything for them today, so I'm trying to give them some direction. Is there stuff from that, you know, that it was a total waste of time or something, or stuff that worked really well for you?
It depends. Sorry,
Yep, you're here.
I'm getting inbound calls. I apologize. It depends on what your goals are and what road you want to go down. I've seen channels that have leveraged relationships and done different things that I would never do. I've seen channels that have, exploited things that I would never do. And I'm not saying I'm more righteous than anybody else. I just made those choices. Back to that business plan, there's a couple things on there. Don't embarrass my girls and always be Kevin, so I don't have to defend some character. And I kind of try to stick by those rules. I'm not always successful, but that's what I try to do. But regardless, the answer is it all depends on what you're willing to do. I've seen different gun bunny things come and go as an example, just to pull one that's obvious to everybody. You know, you've seen them come and go. I've seen a couple newcomers right now that are trying to get traction, and I'm watching what they're doing to do it. And quite frankly, it's embarrassing to me. Is it awesome to a 17-year-old guy? Probably. You know what I mean?
Well, I can see on the YouTube side, Tony's saying some stuff about some of the bigger YouTube channels, and that's, I mean, size and branding, I don't think necessarily are, I mean, they're two aspects of running a channel or something or doing creative content, but they're not necessarily dependent on each other. Having a consistent brand can be satisfying, and it can be, worthy of effort. And the amount of subscribers on YouTube is an indication of how successful, I guess, the brand is, but it's not the only reason. You know, like you said, there's no end in sight necessarily, or your goal isn't necessarily, well, I guess it can be to try to get a lot of YouTube subscribers, but that isn't the only objective, right? There's all kinds of other things that you can.
Once again, it's changed for me. YouTube is now simply a place to host videos so I can put them other places as well. And the YouTube subscribership and the relationship there and everything that goes on, that's all awesome. But I'm not in it to get another 100 YouTube subscribers tomorrow. That's not what I push for. That's not what that's not the goal. The goal is consistent content and growth, but better content that is more relevant and more people want to watch. But then there's also, again, back to the whole Facebook thing, the Instagram thing, all that kind of content and creating. There's, the photo thing. Once again, I'm just dinking around on Instagram. I haven't put together a plan for that. I just post stuff here, left, right, center. There's no plan. And I know people that are using it to make money. I know people that are using it for all kinds of things.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of the YouTubers this year at SHOT Show, or not the YouTubers, the Instagrammers this year at SHOT Show. I got invited to a shoot with a bunch of Instagrammers, and it was interesting because it's very successful, all very successful, but all coming at it, like say, with just totally different strategies, if there is even a strategy, and then goals all over the place. And that's, I think, one of the most interesting things about it, though, is that people can come at it with various levels of resources and all different kinds of ambition, and then I guess there's a little bit of luck sprinkled on there, and that can make it or break for some people. But it's just interesting to see, and what I really enjoy is scrolling through a feed of all the different kind of stuff that people do in their lives, and intersprinkled with all of it is guns, of course. So there's definitely people that are doing gun only, gun like business basically. But I guess we're also, I'm assuming a lot of people that are on the gun channels and listening to a show like this one aren't necessarily in it for the business as much as just enjoying and sharing, and having a brand makes it obtainable accessible. So people, when keeping a consistent brand across your social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, is fairly possible, and then makes it easier for people to find you. When you say, check me out on YouTube, it's not one name here and one name there and one name there. So it's not like your goal has to be to make a living at it, or to do anything like get a bunch of viewers, as much as just have all your content searchable and easy to access for people when you're sharing it, and then networking with people and that kind of thing, right? Well, I guess that'll be our transition.
Yep. I'm sure he'll be right back.
Well, and thank you to Kevin the Tech Daddy, because I do think he's got an interesting insight, like we had touched on. And that's, from my point of view, I'm certainly no master at it, because that's when you speak of like plan and all this stuff. I don't have a plan. I'm just having fun with my friends. But I do think visibility is another key, at least step to the plan of whatever platform it is. Just comment, like even like Instagram. When you just comment on other people's pictures, people read that and go, oh, that's a funny comment. They click on your name and they go, oh, I like this person's pictures. They start following you. So that's just another piece of the puzzle, I believe.
Well, should you also be disappointed if that you're trying, and I don't mean you, Tack, of course, I just mean someone that's going to be trying a different idea for their branding. Should they be disappointed if they're trying to pound that square peg in the round hole, and maybe their idea is just something that either it's not the right look, dare I say, for YouTube or something like that? I kind of feel like at some points, it's like you got to hold on to your vision and everything like that. But at some points, you also might have to understand that if you're branding and you're trying to get other people into it, that you possibly may be the only one that's into it in its current form, so to speak.
Oh yeah. And to add to that, most YouTubers will tell you some of the stuff that they spent the most time planning, the most money on, the most editing, the most everything. And then the one that no planning, just threw it up, whatever, and boom, that's the one that has the big number on it. A lot of it doesn't make sense, honestly.
We can't, just jumping back in here, but we can't determine, or we can't foresee necessarily what's going to be the trend. So we had the prepper shows and all those different gun shop type of shows and the gun builder shows on TV. All that was happening, and that has some influence. And like Tech said earlier, we don't know what the next thing is going to be. Maybe it's a kid doing trick shoots, or maybe it's a kid who's doing competitive shooting and they're really good at it, or maybe it's, I don't know. Who knows?
Well, there were also, part of it was like the zombie brand. When that started to come back, even before The Walking Dead, like it got people that had never even considered.
Well, if you think about the phenomenon, we talked about that a little bit on Matt's show the other night, that predated The Walking Dead. So basically, Hollywood saw that and capitalized on it, and then it fed. So I guess what I'm saying is, Tony was saying that he thinks Hickok and Iraqi Veteran 88 might be at their max. But I mean, I lived in a time, or I was building stuff at a time in 2009 and 10 when Nothing Fancy was the big one, and everyone was down here looking up at 100,000 subscribers and saying, wow, that's unobtainable for a regular channel. I mean, he's got some kind of magic touch and this and that. And I mean, it's phenomenal how different things are 4 years later, and now another 3 or 4 years after that, I guess. So we don't know, again, when a fad was to change, if the John Wick movie blows up and everyone wants to know how he
Everybody needs to start taking classes, and yeah, exactly.
Fancy Glocks are a thing, and now all of a sudden, yeah, exactly. Somebody who's into 3-gun, or who knows what kind of fad might happen. We got Trump in office, so we're just in a different environment. We got the NFA suppressors come out, and who knows? So maybe
get a change from sporting to lawful, and then all of a sudden, the actual sporting games are sanctioned and legit. Yeah, all of those things can definitely affect your ability to brand something, for sure.
And let's not,
or I should say, to successfully brand something. I should say, not necessarily branding.
Let's not forget that we are in a dynamics environment that YouTube is an element of, but the internet is the bigger picture, and the real bigger picture is society, right? We're a country full of self-starters, people that are entrepreneurial. We're capitalists, and we've been given this internet. Some of us are experiencing life before and after the internet, or before and during the internet. There's a whole generation of kids that only know the internet, so we don't even know. I mean, try to think about what we're talking about today and put ourselves 20 years ago, and we would find this conversation alien. We can't have any concept of what's coming next. So when we look at something like a YouTube, while it might be a freaking pillar, a foundational piece of the internet at this moment, I worked at AOL when it was the same. It was bigger, comparatively to the internet, and it's gone now. MySpace came and went. Facebook and YouTube are large, but they're by no means the end of the internet. So while yes, they're some indication of success of a brand is definitely going to cross platforms. And again, when
and it'll either adapt over time, or like you just said, G.
Oh no, it won't. It won't.
Or as I say, it will either, or it'll go away. That's what I was going to follow that up with.
Oh, it will go away. Like I say, the only thing that's remained constant is the people, and then the concept of using the internet to talk to each other. Every single other thing has come and gone. Email's almost gone. As technology changes, we get massive sweeps in this stuff. So branding is putting content out there with some consistency across platforms. And that's, I guess, I just wanted to touch on that, because we don't want to, I think it's to our own, it's a disservice to get too platform centric.
Well, I agree, because the platforms are going to change, and if it's your brand, as the platforms change, you're not going to just hold yourself to one. You're going to try and adapt and improvise to the new platforms as they come out. If you're trying to maintain your brand, that's like why you said how Coca-Cola's been around for 90 years or 100 years or whatever. They've been able to change their marketing scheme and adapt to the platforms of advertising over the, it wasn't. They didn't always have, I'd like to give the world a Coke. That was out of the 70s or whatever. So, I mean, the polar bears, just think about all those different things that they've been able to do over time to keep people interested in their brand.
And then I guess just to talk a little bit about the theory or the goals, I guess, behind why you might want to do some of this stuff. I've been watching a bunch of the stuff on Amazon. There's some awesome stuff on Amazon. If you start watching like a Ken Burns, and then when you finish it, it'll recommend stuff. So I've been watching all kinds of neat stuff about life in the United States back in the olden days. And when you think about photographs from the Civil War, and you think about photographs from, the old black and white photographs from back in the day when cameras were relatively new, that's the only glimpse we have of life, real life back in the day. Now you've got your paid for photographs, your still photographs that are staged of like a presidential ceremony, or maybe like a posed sales shot, of like clothing or something. So you get those glimpses of what styles were like at the time, but your actual glimpse of real life back then was these snapshots taken by hobbyists and
tintypes, dude. That's crazy.
Just somebody who wanted to play with some technology. We are those people. In the future, when it's Star Trek and the Borg and whatever happens in the future, they're going to have glimpses of what life was like, and we know what that's like. Look at 8mm videos of what life was like when we were kids or something. Look at VHS and beta tapes of when we were in high school, right? We have less and less of these things all the time. We're now in a different type of environment where this stuff never goes away anymore. The internet is saved every couple of hours. The content that we produce is literally, it's someday going to be the stuff that archaeologists of data are going to be using to figure out what life was like. So somebody's saying on the gun channel side, my channel has no branding. I'm just a dude with a camera and like 30 subs. that's putting content permanently on the internet for all of time. So you're doing something of significance. And I really think that us as individuals, all just deciding to share our interest in firearms along with all of our other interests, changes society, because this stuff is out there. And it's difficult for someone, I've said it before, it's difficult for someone to demonize all gun owners when people see on their Facebook post that guy who I know from work or school or church is a gun owner. And he's not a crazy gun owner like me. He's just a regular gun owner who likes guns and his dog and food and his hobbies and his family. And, you know, that's the kind of stuff that is worth the effort, that isn't necessarily appreciated when we're doing this stuff. So I want to encourage people to take that time to make a video and share it. The only goal isn't a bunch of views or a bunch of subs. There's other goals that we're accomplishing here.
Think about this. We have no idea what the founding fathers' voices sound like.
Seriously. And that's not going to be the case going forward for much longer.
Correct. Wild.
Okay, well, I think we've taken that one on a ways. We try to hit these subjects so that we inspire conversations either over in the live chats, or if you're creating a podcast or a blog of your own, you have something to talk about, or maybe in a forum or in real life. You're sitting around the gun shop and you can talk about what we talked about in these shows. So if you have ideas for them, you can always email them to us, dailygunshow@gmail.com. And we'll say thanks to Tack. You're welcome to join us. We're going to talk about, I guess so. We were going to talk about something else, but Dano's thinking about buying a revolver and off a gun broker. So I think you had a couple of specific questions, and I thought we might be able to help him out because I guess the auction ends tonight.
Yeah, it does. Right, it's probably about 3-4 hours from now. But just
you got a store number, Dano?
I'm sorry, say again.
I said you got a store number for that one, Dano?
Yeah, 1-900 gun broker.
Yeah, nice.
Best of luck with your auction. If it's a Ruger or Smith & Wesson, go for it. I got to run. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Thanks a lot, Kevin, for joining us.
All right, now Dano, so you have no option of handling this firearm, correct?
Correct.
Usually, but what gun broker has a 3-day? Is it a 3-day trial, so to speak?
I think it's something like that.
Okay, so in my opinion, it's barrel on straight, lock up timing on the cylinder. Also, depending on if it's single action, double action, what that hammer is doing for the timing of the rotation of the cylinder as well. Any excessive play in the trigger side to side, those would be things that, you know, if the ability to look for and feel on a used revolver, those are going to be the main ones I'm looking at.
Right. So, and after receiving it, you know, those are definitely things that would be checked into. But when someone's looking online, and let's say you have a series of relatively high resolution pictures, is there anything in the pictures, and we're just talking generally here, that one might be able to see that would indicate a possible issue?
That twisted barrel, like I was talking, well, not a twisted barrel, but basically the barrel is just a little bit off where it's not straight. You'd be able to tell by lining up the sights. Or in the picture, you could tell. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't tell timing and lockup so much through pictures, unfortunately.
Right, and unfortunately, this particular one doesn't have a sight picture.
It doesn't really? Okay. Sometimes you can also tell. Do they have one where the cylinder is actually open and empty, and you're looking at it that way?
I would need to double check that. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm just saying that's another one where you're going to get a slightly different perspective on it, but you can sometimes you can check at the blade on the front to see if it's canted one way or the other, comparatively speaking to the way that the cylinder is facing, because they're parallel to each other. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right. And the other questions that I had was whether it be successes or failures, and that's how, you know, I certainly learned a lot of the way to do things is by first finding out the wrong way to do it, and then hopefully not repeating that same thing all over again, is strategies on online auctions. And this is for any of you that have made purchases can, whether it's to me on this particular issue or just in general, in regards to on Gun Broker, can you still go back and look at model XYZ and what they've sold for in the last 3 months? Is that still an option out there?
That's
Yeah.
how G-Web's taught me how to check that stuff. I don't know if they still do it though.
Yeah, you just have to log in and then go to advanced search and then completed auctions and then search for whatever you're looking for, and you'll see not only what sold but what didn't sell, and then you just sort it by selling price, and then that'll bring all the ones that actually sold up to the top, and you can pretty much get an idea. If it's something super common, it's going to be, you're going to get different data than if you get something that's more rare, but you'll get an idea of like how many auctions are running, because you'll kind of see when you look at the list that, the filtered list that shows up, you'll be able to see the one that's in there 30 times, that it kept getting reposted, and you'll see if it gets any bids, like maybe it didn't hit its reserve 100 different times, so it's going to probably be there for a long time. You might see a situation where they come and go, so there's a whole bunch of new auctions that always get sold on their first time out, and then you start to see what their completed sell price was, so you have an idea of what they're selling for. It's basically, for some guns, the best blue book, or one of the best blue books out there. Gun.
So when it says completed, I don't know if that means like the sale went through or it just timed out.
It means the sale went through. It means completed.
Yes. And here's the thing:
if it just timed out, if like no one bid on it, it'll complete. Also, it'll just say 0 for the sale price. No bids and 0.
And the nice thing about what G-Webs is talking about, you can compare relative similarities in the shape of the gun, so to speak. Like, he's talking about some that are selling at X, say $500 or whatever, and they've been in this amount of shape, and then you're seeing some that are selling at $400 or whatever, and they were in this kind of shape. And then there's also the sometimes where it's I want it, and that's the outlier that throws it off, because that might be somebody willing to pay more than what he might have to pay for it just because they want it. And sometimes that can be counterproductive, but usually that's a nice thing, the way G's talking about it, is basically you can kind of tell like-minded finish or shape that it's in. You know what I mean? For see if you're getting a decent price or you're in at a decent level.
Okay, what about bidding early and versus just waiting till 15 minutes prior and then go ahead and begin the bidding process? Because I kind of always assume that somebody's going to be there, whether it's a half hour before the end or 10 minutes before the end, and toss another $1 on it. What do y'all think about that?
Well,
just wait till the end before you start putting your name out there?
Possibly, but also on Gun Broker in particular, don't they? So like eBay, where within the last 15 minutes, any bid adds another amount of time to the auction?
I'm not sure.
Because I know that there was an auction site out there, and I don't remember if it was eBay or if it was Gun Broker or both, perhaps, and that if people just started bidding with like 5, 10, or 15 minutes left, that would end up extending the auction. So sometimes it can be counterproductive.
Snipers. There's no snipers on Gun Broker.
Okay.
So it'll extend it 15 minutes or something every time somebody.
Okay. So to answer your question, Dano, I would definitely be there and aware for that time period. I mean, if you put it in a half hour before, technically it won't extend that 15 minutes. But as soon as somebody ups it within that 15 minute or T minus 15 minutes, it's going to add another. So.
Well, let's get to the fundamentals here. You're talking about getting an LCR used.
Yeah,
right on.
357 or a 38?
The 38.
I don't know. I'd hesitate to buy any revolver sight unseen. There's too many problems that could be detrimental to the operation of a revolver that you ain't going to see unless you fiddle with it. So I don't know. I don't think I would.
That brings up a good point that I also wanted to throw out there, which was, whether it's an LCR or whether it's something else, what are your personal thoughts or philosophies on when you start crossing over into that gray area of used versus new in regards to pricing?
When my life depends on it.
Oh, but wait a minute. So are you saying that used guns you don't particularly utilize to defend your life with? Is that what you said or no?
Correct. Probably since I've been like 20 something and I can afford to wait for a new gun. I buy new
Okay.
guns.
And I'm going to have to relate on my end that I've only recently purchased used firearms. My first several purchases, they were all new. I still kind of am a little leery about used firearms purchases. I do understand that there's a benefit to them. There's cost savings, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I get that, but it was kind of one of the things that G was just talking about. It's like, I want to know that it's new and that if there's any level of counting on it, I should be able to count on it because it's brand new. And it's so if it's something like he just said, if it's something that you think that you're going to be counting your life with, then I might be inclined to just save up a couple extra bucks, like he was saying, and get a new one.
So would it be correct to say either go new or go home sort of a thing? Is your philosophies in regards to something that you would carry?
For me, yes. Personally, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Smeggy?
Buy new and buy used, and then you have a backup that you can shoot all the time and wear out, and you got your new one that you keep in your pocket.
Well, then there's that. That's the 2-as-1 theory, right?
Yep. I've been toying with the idea of getting an LCR 357 in each pocket.
Nice.
Anyway, back to Dano's thing. I don't think I'd buy a revolver used. Is how much are you saving versus a new one sourced locally?
$100.
Oh no way. I would definitely spend $100. Buy a new one, and I'd buy a 357. I don't know why you're wasting your time with a 38.
Well, it has to do with weight and the way that I'm going to be carrying it.
Just in case you didn't hear that.
Okay.
You can put 30 in it. It is a little bit heavier, but having the ability to put 357s in it. I mean, I don't live next to Chicago, but
no, hold on. I would like to address something that's going on out in the YouTube chat for a second. Now, I don't know that any one of us is saying that used guns aren't great. We're not implying that at all. Or at least I certainly am not. I'm just simply saying that if it's something that I'm going to be carrying to defend my life with, I would like to have a new one. I'm not saying I don't want or wouldn't have other used guns, because I do. My tanker, it's a Franken gun, for crying out loud. It's about as used, abused, and rebuilt as anything that I have, and I love it. I don't think I would trade it for anything. So, I mean, I definitely get you that there are a lot of great used guns out there. I definitely agree with that statement. There's a lot of good deals that way too, especially if you're going to talk about Milsurp or something like that. But I don't think that Dano's talking about just having a gun to go to the range with, or to just put in the gun case, so to speak.
Right. This would be an alternative to my Glock 26, which is what I normally been carrying. That ideally would be a little bit lighter. I could carry it a little bit differently than I carry my 26. So,
well, and here's another, the implied level of anxiousness, or whatever that would be called. Like, do you feel like you would be less worried about it, dare I say, if it was new as opposed to used? There's a little less wondering. Now, to be honest, though, that doesn't mean that a new gun can't malfunction either, but it's less likely to.
well, much like a new gun, I would not begin to carry any firearm until I had headed out to the range and put, X number of rounds downrange that I was fully confident in it, whether it's new or used. And that's why, now granted, it may not be the quality that I'm looking for, and then I'm just going to simply turn around and resell it. And then I would buy new if I were to buy used and have that problem. But yes, to me, whether it's new or used, they both have to pass the same confidence bar is me and the gun go to the range on a date, and I'm going to work her hard, I'm going to work her rough, and at the end of the day, if she's still standing, she's good to go.
And again, the YouTube side kind of taking it to an extreme, and they make a point. So a 1-year-old Glock is junk. I call bunk on that. I don't know that. I wasn't saying that. I definitely don't feel that that's the case. Just saying that there may be less of apprehension over a new compared to a used. And then when it says, so don't go to another gun show in your life, that's also not what I'm saying, because specifically I didn't say that I had a problem with used guns. So
yeah, we've talked a number of times about if you need to buy something inexpensive as used police trade-in guns as being a potential source of inexpensive yet reliable firearms.
And that's going to be a personal preference again. If you feel that it's something that has been maintained correctly, right? Because usually they are, most of those trade-in ones, and then basically you are getting it at a deal, and then usually they're also not usually shot out for the most part. So and
Sorry
yes,
about
you are
that.
correct. Your new gun is used the day after you take it to the range for the first time. You are correct.
And there are different philosophies. Every manufacturer makes duds right out the door. And that's, again, goes to the whole purpose of why is it that before I would carry a Glock, I would require a range trip beforehand for that exact reason. So whether a new or used, it makes no difference to me in regards to what do I need to make it, carry certified by me. And that means a trip to the range. So, all right. Well, I think unless any questions I didn't ask that you think it's would be important me to either check out, or maybe we didn't touch upon because of what I'm looking at that you think it'd be important for other people to know.
I usually just set a price that I'm willing to pay, and then just put it into Gun Broker, and then just let it go. Because like with the 15-minute rule thing, if somebody really wants it, they're going to get it. And if the two other people are going to fight over it, then I don't like to be involved, because then I end up getting competitive and putting out more than I might, or when I'm just sitting here rationally thinking about it, what I would like to. So I try to just put the scratch on it, or put the max on it, and then walk away and let it, let whatever the results will happen. Otherwise you end up paying too much for something.
Less stressful that way?
Well, at least for me, I'll end up bidding. It just becomes, you get caught up in the bid part. Yeah, it's like, oh, I want this, damn it. And then, but if you can separate yourself from it, I think that helps to separate yourself from it. So you just come back later and see if you want it or not.
And revolver specific, man, I have bought one revolver. I did buy it used, but I did buy it on the internet. So I did not have a chance to handle the new product before it was delivered to me. I would probably say if you have the option, you need to handle it before you purchase it. If it's not new and a revolver, granted, there's gonna be a lot of people out there that are going to disagree with me on that.
Okay, Smeggy, you have any 2 cents you want to throw in there?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I'm almost just gonna kind of echo G as far as put a price in your head on, okay, this thing is worth X amount. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Especially for something like that, because you're gonna find tons. That's gonna pop up a million times in a row. It's not like you're bidding on something that is some super collectible thing you've been looking for years. And if you want it because it's a good price or something, then okay, put the price in that you think it's still a good deal. And if it goes for more than that, then oh well, then find another one.
Smeggy's right. Those things are a dime a dozen, because everybody buys them and then realizes they should have got a 357, tries to sell that one off to some sucker.
Hey, I resemble that remark. And speaking of that,
Seek cover. Seek cover. Seek cover.
Help! Help! The Germans are coming! The Germans are coming! Run for your lives!
Who the hell yells help because the Germans are coming? Really
No, I don't know. You got to say something. So anyway, it's time for the tactical pop
Mach
quiz
schnell,
of
mach
the day.
schnell.
Yeah, I don't speak German very well. So those of you on YouTube, go ahead and put your cursors down in the lower box. Get your fingers loose and ready. And those of you on gun channels, I assume you already know what to do. My official Z, have you seen the question? And more importantly, have you seen the answer? Or I should say answers for today, because today's question is a two-parter.
And we would like both parts of the answer in one response, please. And yes, I have.
Yes, exactly what Z just said.
Isn't this-
And I definitely want to thank Dead Horse for supplying today's question.
Didn't we do this one?
Dead Horse, thank you very much.
Didn't we already do this one?
Unless you did it on a day I wasn't here.
Nope, we did not.
All right.
It's familiar to you because it was in a different show
Oh.
that you were in.
Okay.
So the question for today is, again, it's a two-parter. I will read the question twice. Eugene Stoner served in what military branch and in what country in World War II? Eugene Stoner served in what military branch and in what country in World War II?
Windbreaker is incorrect. Night Strike is incorrect.
Corner shot.
MIM is incorrect. And again, if you remember, answer both parts of the question with your response, not just one.
That's basically giving somebody half the answer. Wrong. Oh, wait. Marines,
Everything's wrong so far.
Marines fighting Germany.
Again, wrong.
Rocky Mountains.
Incorrect.
Army, USA.
So you're saying that in World War II, gentlemen, that he fought in the USA is what you're saying when you say that.
Aviation ordnance for U.S. Marine Corps and served in the South Pacific and Northern China. He was survived by his son Quincy. That's copy and pasted right there.
Hey, whatever. Brett got it. And I'll tell you what, Angry American, if they would have actually put both responses in one, would have won. But because Brett said it before he did.
Yeah, we were very specific as far as how we wanted the format of the answers today.
However,
So I'm sorry if you couldn't get them in one line.
Angry's won before, so he knows what the winner circle's all about. He ain't
What was
shedding
the name
no
of our
tears.
winner today?
Brett.
Brett, congratulations. You are today's Tactical Pop Quiz winner. Head on over to dailygunshow.com/popquiz. Fill out the form. Make sure you put your first, second, and third choices for your prize, and congratulations.
Yes, Brett. Welcome to the winner circle. It's the first one of the week, so that makes you the first Tactical Pop Quiz hot shot for the week. Congratulations.
And as a special prize, he's got Dano for more time today. We're not losing Dano. Well, I guess we already have passed.
Well, I know you miss me dearly, but yes.
Is that like telling me castor oil is good for me, though?
No.
I'm not sure how to take that.
So let's take
One spoonful at a time, Dano.
let's take it to the gun shop of the day. So every day we like to mention a gun shop. Today we're talking about a suggestion that came in from Squib, I think. It's called, how did I open this up? It is it's a museum, the Tennessee Air Museum. And I'm not familiar with this one, so I'm opening up the website here and we'll screen share it. And has anybody here been to this one? Smeggy lives over there. Dano kind of lives over there.
I have not been to it.
They don't live in Tennessee, but okay.
They live on that side of the Mississippi.
Well, technically, they're next to the East Coast then, too, if you're doing broad generalities like that.
Is this the one that was sent in by a user? Excuse me, not a user, a
Listener. Yeah.
listener?
What's wrong with this website? He couldn't have found it.
Because we did have one that was sent in.
It is this one. So the Tennessee Air Museum. It's, I think, loading. either my computer's going down or I'm going to the wrong site or something. So
I'm sure it's really cool.
Maybe the too many tabs open thing?
I don't know. I think their site might be, it's super huge. It's kind of a really large website. I looked at it earlier. I'm going to go to their Facebook. How about that? So it's a museum of aviation, and I don't know what we're going to say about it, except we'll be watching the live comments here if anybody's been to it before.
He said there's an Airwolf mock-up, so we need pictures, please. We need to make sure of that.
There were some pictures as attachments to the email the user sent.
Oh, okay. Do you have those handy?
Unfortunately, I don't.
There were, but yeah, you're right. Assuming that I was prepared more than just linking to the place over here. Let's see if the website opened up. No, it didn't. So we will look forward to either having Bob go through there, because Bob's been toying with the idea of touring some of the aviation museums, or potentially both going through there, because I'm all
Tony's driven by it, and CamCan has been there.
Okay, so what can they tell us about it, I guess, if they want to tell us something about it? Otherwise, it looks like they got a bunch of, like, lame pictures that don't really even show the place off too well. They show some of the planes.
I need a picture of Airwolf. I need confirmation of life here.
What is this? Oh, that's looking down the air intake of something?
Yes,
I'm just
it
looking
is.
through their Facebook, and
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of Facebook because of this, because look at this. It's kind of garbage. If you're looking
There's
for
no way to, filter.
Plus, it looks like this is more like their like announcement. This is like their bulletin board. So you're not gonna. It isn't like
Everything with every flyer that they make or whatever for this weekend
event and shit. Yeah, and then like holiday stuff. So I don't really see anything about their actual exhibits or like a playlist. I don't think. So I don't know how Facebook. I'm not fluent in Facebook either. But anyway, so I guess we could do it this way. I could just go to the internets and go to the images. There we go. Now we can see what this place looks like.
That's the place?
Yeah, I'm assuming. Does it not look like an airplane museum?
Oh, it does. I like that. I always like fixed wing aircraft. And a PBY. What? Slow down. Hold on.
That's not Airwolf.
That isn't the one I was looking at, but I like those too.
What's up?
Can you go to the
this?
up?
This?
Up.
This?
Up. Oh, I guess that was up. Yeah, there it is. The first row, second from the left. The seaplane. Thank you. Because that's a Red Bull plane? What?
Yeah, I guess Red Bull has it. Picture on the side.
That is awesome.
Maybe I do have too many tabs open. Something's going on here. So keep scrolling. There's a bunch of girls.
Hello, ladies.
Sitting on a wing.
Or as I like to say, aloha.
6 birds sitting on a wing.
Nice.
I still don't say no Airwolf, nothing though. So I guess that's what it looks like in front.
Man,
I
there's
wonder why it's there. Maybe somebody knows why it's there. I don't think it's Tennessee in aviation. I don't know if I don't think of it as anti-aviation. I just don't guess it does. You know, I think of Ohio as aviation. And then Washington, Arizona, California, maybe Florida, maybe Texas.
And he says you scrolled past Airwolf, but I don't know.
You guys see Airwolf? I didn't see Airwolf. Is this
It's
Airwolf?
Woodload.
There's Airwolf right there, I guess.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Go.
I guess it's just hanging there. Oh, here's
Well,
one.
and it's a mock-up too, which is awesome.
It's just it's like a Lear jet of helicopters. It's like the luxury.
It's just
helicopter.
totally awesome, is what it is. It's got machine guns and rockets.
Trying to look for like these kind of pictures to see if I can sneak a picture of a gun. So it looks like I found a couple of pictures of guns there. Some old German looking guns. Probably like this is what they used to try to shoot planes down with. Or more like this is what they used to shoot down out of planes with. Here's one. The museum the Air Museum up in Salt Lake City, for example, has its I don't know if it's unique, but it's as you walk in the front doors of the museum, before you get to the planes, you get to one of these like diorama type of areas, and it's all uniforms, like the various flight suits that they wore, kind of the evolution of flight suits. I don't think I've ever seen that before, and it was huge. Like there was a heck of a lot of development in those things.
That don't look like an SR7 sitting there.
I do have a couple pictures that were sent in via that email from Squibload.
All right, I'm locking on you then.
Okay. This particular one, the Wicked Wabbit. I don't know my model numbers of World War II, but this is one of the, I think, 6 pictures that he sent in.
That's called an airplane.
And yes. And then
P-51 Mustang.
yes. Oh, I was looking for the under air scoop thingy. I couldn't quite see it. I do kind of see it peeking out there a little bit. But that one, pretty cool pick. And there you go with Airwolf. Do you see
And a big Sikorsky next to it.
Sitting next to, is that that other show? Or is that the wrong
Riptide with the
That's
Screaming
Riptide?
Mimi?
Is that Riptide sitting next to Airwolf, or is that not Riptide?
That
not
is
be
no, his Screaming Mimi was technically pink, but it is the same chopper. You know what I mean? It had the big smile painted on it.
Yep.
double
Let me
check.
go ahead and scoot back a little bit. Make sure we can web it. And oh, there's one of the. He did snap a few pictures of the display itself. You know, you can't really read it, but just as far as you know, they actually brought those rifles up in the planes with them.
Oh yeah,
Talk about cumbersome.
I just confirmed that is the same helicopter as Riptide.
Ah.
And
it
you didn't
is
want
the
to take my word for it, but okay.
Pigeon Forge Airport. Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge Airport, Tennessee Museum of Aviation.
And Artisan Tony's out there telling it that it is near the Las Vegas of the South, Gatlinburg. So that's just something to.
Hence the name Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge Airport.
Yep.
And those are the pictures that Squibload sent in. So thank you, Squibload,
And he's given
and
us,
for sending those in.
he's given us a play-by-play of what those photos were that you were looking at, and said that some of the guns are on loan from the museum or to the museum from private collections. So that's interesting, and that's something that we could probably talk about in a future thing, right? Loaning guns to museums, because I'm interested in that myself. It might be interesting to talk about, perhaps. He tells us what a lot of those planes are: P-47 Thunderbolt, P-51 Airwolf, UH-34, and then that's a KAR-98K.
Was that what the movie plane was? Or movie, that one right there?
I'm guessing that's what that rifle is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No? I don't know.
All right. Well, like I said, I just wanted to thank, you know, when you guys do send out stuff into us, we do actually look at it and put it in the show, get it ready, and get it out there when we have an open slot. So thank you.
Yes, it was the rifle.
All right, I just stuck that into a future show.
Nice, excellent.
And then that was our shop of the day. So it was a museum today, but we do try to hit a gun shop every day. We've got some other stuff going on for the rest of the week. But anytime you have a shop that you're in that's unique, or you have something cool, maybe you see a display at a VFW hall, or I don't know, you go somewhere and they've got a display of rifles or something, you want to share that with people, feel free to do that. We encourage you to share it on your social media or whatever, and then send us links to that. Or if you just want to send us the pictures, either way, like Squib did, he just sent us some pictures, we were able to share them. But you can send them to us at dailygunshow@gmail.com. And that's, you know, one of the reasons we do the show every single day, so that we can try to talk about a new shop out there every single day. So we will move into, I'm gonna do the healthy tip, just to get it out of the way. Understand what you're eating. So did we talk about the other day on the thing? I saw a cool little inspirational quote on Instagram the other day that said something like, if you are a recipe, what are you using as ingredients, or something like that. I don't know if we talked about that on the show, but I'm going to summarize that one today. Understand what you're eating. Remember that you're eating the building blocks of you.
33% fat.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Whatever you put in is your
Coleslaw at the moment.
So,
Love cabbage. Cabbage don't always love me though.
Yeah. That.
so let's get into what do we want to do next? Movie of the day?
We've already done what? We've done all three of our main topics, yeah?
Oh yeah, we're cruising. We're doing pretty good. For a little
Yeah.
So let's talk about gun history, I guess, real quick. I posted on Instagram, but today is the birthday of blah 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 Dragunov. So that cool 5.4R Russian sniper rifle. Their designated marksman type of role. Really cool rifle. We don't get them. We can get the Romanian and the Chinese ripoffs of them, but it's always cool to see him in the movies and stuff. And anyway, he was born today in 1920. 1920.
Have you, in any of your travels, been able to hold, work, or shoot a real deal?
All the above. There are definitely cool guns. And it'd be nice to see Trump remove the bullshit 5.56 or 5.45 bullshit, and then remove the Kalashnikov, or what was it, the Russian factory
Yes,
problems.
Russian war band.
And then potentially, once that's all opened up, just remove whatever the old Cold War no munitions out of Russia ban, which bans us from getting those and Nagants and all the other cool stuff, PKMs.
Oh, well, especially if we repeal the Hughes.
Yeah. Look, I'm not saying I should get the first PKM off the boat. I just want one off of that first boat.
Right? It can be the last one off the first boat. That's fine.
That's fine. So that was our gun history today, and we try to hit one of those as often as we can. And
so that was the birthday of Yevgeny Fyodorovich Dragunov?
Yep, I believe it's pronounced blah, 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 Dragunov.
Well, that ain't Fedor, but yes, Fyodorovich.
Fedor, yeah. Well,
And see, we've had Russian people on our hockey team, so Specs and I can usually pronounce Russian.
Notice how these Michiganders.
Well, considering my last name looks very similar to that, only with different
Consonants.
Different vowels.
So it's Smegidorovich?
No.
Vic? Okay.
But lots of repeating letter than something, then letter than something, like the same thing repeated over and over again.
I got you.
Okay, so
Maggie Snowmanovich.
Snowman, yeah.
Nice.
I'll
All
go
right.
with that, sure.
Now we're going to go into the gun movie. So every day we try to remind people of a movie you might not have seen in a while, or if you're a youngin', a movie you haven't seen yet. And today it is Desperado. Do we count all of them? Because it's hard for me to remember which ones are which anymore, but Desperado.
the Eagles rendition was fantastic. The movie,
Wait, what?
Dano has
Desperado.
jokes. He has jokes, and sometimes
Desperado.
they're funny.
It cut
For
out?
those of you that may never heard of this little thing called the Eagles, and they did a song called Desperado.
No, you cut out is all. It was really loud and it cut out for me. You said the Eagles song is cool, but the movie you didn't like?
The movie, I did not see, but I did see the trailer.
All right. So another movie in Dano's blackout period. I've said before that you're like lucky you got an opportunity to see the awesomest movies ever, but I don't know about this one. Is pretty cool, but it's some of the other ones that you haven't seen. Hopefully you saw and you understand, like appreciate how awesome those movies are. I don't know if this one was necessarily pivotal. It was definitely a great movie at the time. It seemed like it was a good gun movie at the time when there wasn't that many cool gun movies happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Here's the thing. Not overly realistic, but somewhat.
No, it's all kung fu or gun fu, right?
Yeah, a little bit. A lot bit. But here's the deal. The guy who did Desperado, he started out his like filmmaking career with a movie called El Mariachi, which this is like basically either, if you want to look at it, it's the second movie in the trilogy, or it's a remake of the original with a real budget by a real movie company, or by a real, what do they call that? Like Universal or something like that did the funding, whereas the first one was almost like his film school movie almost. He'd like had a low budget for the first one, but it was a good movie, pretty brutal, lots of good stuff, and kind of genuine. If you ask my opinion about El Mariachi and the way the cartel stuff works, I definitely like Desperado because it had Selma Hayek in it. And like you said, at that time, I knew who Robert Rodriguez was. So, I mean, I knew that before I saw the movie, I didn't know if it was going to be part 2 or a reboot remake, you know what I'm saying, with a real budget. And even after I saw it, I kind of wasn't sure if it was part 2, like that was the dude's cousin or something like that, or if it was just this happens to be another El Mariachi guy. But I definitely thoroughly enjoyed it. Selma Hayek's in it. She's awesome. There's lots of good fight scenes. There's lots of good guns play. There's all kinds of good stuff in that movie. So I'm definitely going to give it 2 thumbs up. And whether we're talking the trilogy or just this one, I'm giving them all 2 thumbs up, pretty much.
And I'll go ahead and chime in and say I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
You've never seen the movie Desperado?
That is an accurate statement. I haven't even heard of it. I have no idea what it is.
Now, when I say I saw the trailer, I mean I was actually in the theater to see the trailer. And I saw it and I thought, that doesn't look very interesting. So granted, I didn't see it, but I was alive and seeing movies at the time, and it just didn't grab me. Now, it may have been wrong. Maybe I should have gone. But it's just the way they promote it as if it was half a chick flick. With, look at end.
Then you totally missed the point. Then if you thought that Desperado was a chick flick.
Well, I mean, the way they did the photography for the promo made it look like it was an Antonio, sex machine sort of thing.
Maybe I would say, as far as gun movies go, it was mass appeal, and that would make it a chick flick of gun movies. There was right
at that time, Antonio Banderas was, again, at that time he was pretty popular, and especially popular with the ladies.
Well, yes, it just that I'm not a lady, so that's not it didn't attract.
That's why they put Selma Hayek in the movie, and he's just badass all over that movie. And Smegs, if you feel like watching it, you might be able to watch it free on YouTube or something, but I think it's also on Prime. Amazon Prime, that is. It's worth watching, Smegs. It still holds up to today, in my opinion.
Well, that's saying something if you think it holds up to today's standard.
Actually, I haven't seen it in a while, but I think it holds up pretty good.
I mean, when you realize that the drug cartels are still doing the same things that now that they were doing in that movie, I mean, it's kind of one of those things.
What time frame is the movie take place?
I think either late 90s or early 2000s, whenever it came out. Like it was a, that time or at that time movie, you know what I mean? It wasn't like it's from the 60s or 70s or anything. I was gonna say, I think we watched El Mariachi in my 4th year Spanish class. Now that I think about it.
Burger P85s.
And on that note, anything else on the movie today?
I guess not. We got 2 people that hadn't seen it and 2 people that definitely appreciate it.
So what? My mic isn't working?
Well, I don't know. What are you saying?
Well, I can hear you now.
I'm saying P85s.
Oh.
So and do you have to go to the bathroom or?
No, I have had to go like 3 times during the show, so I think I'm dying, but not right at the moment.
Well, you keep saying P.
I know.
Oh, you're talking about Ruger P85s. Okay.
Yeah. So
dual wielding.
Yeah. How many movies use Rugers and use
Is that what he
your knives?
He has his
Oh,
Ruger.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you know what? You're definitely right on that, dude. It was definitely a showcased item in that movie for sure.
Although those guns look a little big to be up his sleeve, but I realize it's Hollywood.
Oh, he didn't have the P85 up his sleeve, I don't think.
No, those are some other guns.
Much smaller. It was one of those things where he was cool, and he was cool in the actions with which he was in the movie, kind of a thing. You know, whether it was like when Starsky and Hutch slid across the hood of the car, or Bo and Luke Duke did that, or you know, just some things that when you were growing up as a kid, like they do some cool shit.
I'm trying to remember now because there's 3 of them, so they melt into that 6-year or whatever spectrum. You know, like, you know, it's harder to define it. If it was one movie, it's easier to pinpoint it. But it was one of the first. I don't think it was the first, but it was one of the first to kind of change the direction from action movies. No, and just kind of give them that different feel, like Tarantino. You know, with Pulp Fiction and stuff, they kind of got
it definitely did
different. I don't know if to call it cooler or like more hep or something, but you know, they took like the extract of all
brought
the movies.
back
They
swagger to a gun movie, if you want to think about it like that. Like think about it, it's almost like it's a modern Western.
Yeah, and then some of the maybe almost stuff from Hong Kong type of movies, like they took some of those elements and. Anyway, so I think that they were some of the first to bring it to us in not necessarily big budget, but like you're saying, like real, you know, it was given to us and, you know, packaged up like
by a real film studio and everything. Yeah.
So anyway, I think,
and they are telling us that those were P series pistols in the sleeves, just with cut down grips. That's crazy. But very cool. Good to know. And yeah, if you think about it, G, you know, they did stuff like that Sergio Leone did, though, in the old spaghetti westerns with the action scene. Somebody's about to get shot, and it zooms in either on the eyes or right from the muzzle end or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was one of those ones where they started doing more of that.
Forced perspective? Is that forced perspective?
Yes. And I don't think they abused it or anything like that, but it was bringing that style back a little bit. Yeah, I really like the movie.
I mean, it's not like they're the first people ever doing those things, but it's like at the time, movies were kind of getting boring and kind of cut and dry. And like, here's the formula. Here's what you get. Here's the formula. Here's what you get. And it was one of those to kind of start breaking that mold a bit.
Trying to do it a little bit different and
succeed.
You know, he also let's to his credit, you know, as a movie that is based not about anything in the United States of America, at a time when we pretty much watched American movies, I'm just trying to say out there that it did really awesome for the fact that it was a hero that wasn't American, a story that didn't take place in America. The 90-something% of the cast were not crackery. So the movie did really good for having all of those hurdles to overcome as well.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up with Salma Hayek.
Yeah. Again, I would love to fall back on that.
So you don't know what you're missing, but you will thank us, even if you don't like anything about the rest of the movie. Thank you, Salma Hayek.
Yes, because she's fantastic.
Just excellent. All right, so then that'll be the gun movie of the day. If you have ideas, we have an email, and it's dailygunshow@gmail.com. If you send us the ideas, we put them on our list, and then we'll talk about them. That's how it works. Pretty easy.
And we definitely I definitely suggest you watch that movie.
Well, it's Friday, so I'm going to say let's take a break and thank our Patreons. No, it's not. It's Monday. Let's take a break and thank our Patreon supporters. It's Friday in some part of the country, right? So it's Monday. So we want to take a break and thank our Patreon supporters. Our show is supported through Patreon support. We are in flux, I guess. We have recently moved our Patreon account over from the Gun Websites one to separate it. And I think we unsuccessfully attempted to do it on an episode basis, but we do too many episodes, so it was confusing. So we appreciate everybody who's going through the growing pains, or I guess the moving pains of sticking with us. And we plan to do even more Patreon-oriented content coming up here. We've had some strategy sessions off air, and we're looking forward to pursuing that. We've got the schedule out through the end of March, so it's going to give us an opportunity to really dig into stuff like today. We had TAC on. It was a little bit improvised, but the format of the show allows us to have time to do that, and the Patreon support is going to allow us to do some creative stuff that we've got planned, as well as literally paying for the lights. So we want to thank everyone for that. And although this was a break in it, we don't have to take breaks and sell you anything. We don't have to take breaks and tell you how great a product is. We don't have to have obligatory guests on that, you know, tell you how great the product is that supports us. And it's because you are our great product that supports us, our audience. So thank you very much. We'll take a break and focus on you for a moment. Thanks for that.
And on that note,
let's see.
the gun of the day step in for today.
What?
Want to do our gun of the day? And it's
This week we're doing
our variation of gun of the day for today.
Yeah, this week we're doing ammo of the day, and we've got a link here to one of the videos I posted from the Wooden Labs. So it's a large private collection that I'm lucky to have access to. And as I was going through the collection of, or the portion of the collection that's the 7.62 by 39, my new passion, I was able to find this drawer that had a really nice selection of the various colors and types of finish on the cases. So this is a drawer full of Chinese ammo. We can tell from the colors and whatnot. But you go from everything from that brass wash to that really bright green lacquer to the clear lacquers of the greener and clearer complexions. And then there's probably even an example in there. Yep, there was an example there of just a plain old clear lacquer steel case. So one of the neat things about collecting Kalashnikov stuff is the variety and everything. And one of the best ways to get an extract of all the variety is to look at the ammo. And it's also one of the least expensive ways. You can literally do this for free. Just hang out at gun ranges, shooting ranges, and look down, and you'll find plenty of different 7.62 by 39 that people leave behind because it's not reloadable. And if you just pay attention while you're at the range, you can see people bringing out and shooting just a billion different types and brands and styles of ammo. And, you know, if you're at all personable, you can ask them for one bullet and start accumulating a massive collection of different and interesting contrasting case colors that way. I think for a kid, that might be an interesting way to start a collection too, or an interest in firearms at more than just their practical, some of their intrinsic value, you know, start showing them the differences over time and use and factory and origin and all that. In something like that.
Did you get a chance? Did you do a video also over at Wooden Labs for the 54R?
No, not really.
Okay.
There's a bunch of stuff in front of it, so I couldn't even dig into the shelf, into the drawers.
Right on.
But at some point, I hope to one day.
Now, most of those that we're looking at right now, they seem to have something taped over or covering the primer.
No, there's nothing.
Or is it just the angle of the photograph?
I'm not sure. What you're looking at is the different primers, and they have usually a sealant. If it's a military, they're going to have a sealant around the primer and up by where the projectile hits the case. And sometimes it's visible on some of them, and sometimes it's not. And sometimes it contrasts with the materials, and sometimes it blends in. So some of these,
as an example, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, there's one that's almost black. Yet if you look at the primer, it looks almost off-white.
Yeah, that's what I said. Green lacquer, and then that's just plain old brass. So it's just the contrasting materials and coatings. But it's not taped. It's just primer. It's just a shitty, grainy view of a still image of a video is probably what's making it look like that. But the only piece of tape here is this, some kind of a marking on this one to tell you what it is. So that was our gun today, and that's from a series I did a while back, trying to do bullet of the day. I really could do bullet of the day consistently, but they got they got some views, but overall not quite enough views to make it worth the while. But it's one of those things that as time goes on and I'm able to spend more time, it'll be one of the first things that goes back online, because right now I'm sitting on basically an entire gun, like an 8 foot by whatever, 3 foot. What is a gun show table? 2 foot by 8 foot, like a whole gun show table worth of ammo. So I'm sitting here wishing I had time to
3 by 6, 3 by 8.
The 3 foot. So yeah,
It should be.
quite a bit of ammo there. Anyhow, and I'm probably gonna be sitting around with it all freaking day, Saturday or Friday, both. So I probably will do a bunch of videos, actually. Just a matter of if I can. I don't think I'll edit them, so I'll just probably end up posting them. But anyway, so hopefully we'll see some new bullet of the day videos coming up.
Nice.
All right,
Probably
so
videos from Prescott too coming up, yeah? Or is that what you just said?
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Bob ain't gonna be there, so we can all Canadian shame him, or Bob shame him, or camper shame him, or Dodge shame him. Shame him however you want. It's up to you, because we have freedom in this country. You can Bob shame him however you want to Bob shame him, but he blew me off this weekend, so I've got.
It's open season on Bob. Is that what I just heard?
I'm just saying, he threw me under the bus. That I got to
Really?
figure out Prescott myself this weekend now because of Bob. So I'll deal with it. I'm not bitter. I'll deal with it.
Okay. You mean you're not going to stay at home and cry and eat 3 quarts of ice cream?
Sounds like a good idea. A lot less. No, I don't like the ice cream. Not into that stuff no more. Maybe
Well,
milk.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
Anyway,
So what do we got left? We got gun channels today, right?
Is there anything even happening on gun channels today?
Well, speaking of that, yes. Today being Monday, we have Never Enough Ammo, who will be starting up just shortly. Then we've got Locked and Loaded, and of course, We Like Shooting. And then in the morning, we may have Jimmy James and Tony and the gang with their early watch. It's 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on gun channels today.
Right on.
I missed
So I
anybody?
think that's episode 251. I already got links to Matt, so I know he's starting here in a couple of minutes. And
Yeah, I think he's starting within 10 minutes.
he probably already started. He likes to just get going sometimes. For some reason, I'm thinking we're missing something. I guess not. So that'll
Everything
be-
is checked but the quote, I think.
Yep.
In there.
Oh, yeah, no. I got that. I'm just saying, I think everything is checked off but the quote. So
Oh, gotcha.
So that's episode
And,
251. Go ahead, Dan.
All right. Am I being Bob today?
Yep.
Okay. This one is by Anonymous. Firearms are second only to the Constitution in importance. They are the people's liberty's teeth. With that note, I want to thank you for listening, and please be prepared.
Guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.